So let us start in butterfly pose. Soles of the feet come together. And you don't have to bring them in close to the body like this. I'm sitting on a bolster because I like, to sit a little bit upright. But take the feet away from you a little bit so that you can create this diamond shape, and the knees are nice and gently relaxed out to the side. And just make sure that you feel all of your toes can touch the balls of the feet, and the heels touching as well. Just gently roll the shoulders back and down. Just come into your space as you gently become present with your mind and body. Take the hands to the knees, palms are face up, and just soften through the facial expression, lifting up through the spine. So try not to collapse through the waist here and sink down into this slump, but stretch the sides of the body so that you already start to feel tall. And let's find a steady and even breath, breathing in and out of the nostrils. And your breath might be silent, might be audible to you. But think about the breath being nice and slow and deep, steady and easy. We don't have to judge our breath in any way. We just observe and notice and become more aware as we focus into our practice this evening. It'll be a yin practice for boosting self-esteem, self-assurance, and confidence to close the end of the month of all of that strong work on the solar plexus and the manipura. So our yin practice today will work with balancing out the kidney and the bladder meridian lines, which run from the little toes on the insides of the body all the way up, and then continue up in towards the head. So the practice will focus a little bit on inner thighs, spine, and the hamstrings. So think for a moment about those two meridian lines, starting at the little toes, breathing in from the little toes on the inside of the body, the inside of the legs, going past the kidney and the bladder organs all the way up through the torso, right up into the head. And your exhale breath allows you to let go and release any tightness or tension you might be holding from your day. So the breath in tracks those meridian lines, and the breath out softens and releases. And just notice how you feel today, emotionally, mentally, physically. Before we begin our practice, notice, are you feeling confident? Are you feeling self-assured? How, how good, low, high is your self-esteem for yourself here? And just take a note of that mentally before we, embark on our physical practice of yin. And our intention today, our sankalpa, I have the power to create change, and I am ready to take the next step. I have power to create change, and I am ready to take the next step. You can, of course, come out of butterfly if you wish, or you can just stay there seated. You can come to cross-legged. You might like to wiggle the fingers before we come to breathing technique of Nadi Shodhana. Nadi Shodhana is using the right hand, alternate nostril breathing, either bringing the 2 fingers to the base of the thumb or the 2 fingers to the third eye. Breathing in through both nostrils and breathing out through both nostrils. There's going to be a slight retention at the top of each breath. Closing off the right, breathing in through the left nostril. Slight pause, retention of the breath as you close off the left, open up the right, and then exhale out that held breath. Moment of nothingness, moment of emptiness at the base of that breath before you breathe in. Moment of retention as you change the thumb over and release the ring finger. Exhale on the left. So slow, deep, controlled breath. Breathing in left. Slight retention, kumbhaka. Close the left, open the right. Now exhale. Moment of pause. Breathe in right. Close off the right, hold the breath, open left, exhale. Let's go for a few rounds on your own and your own pace of breathing rhythm. If you're okay with the retention and the emptiness, you can increase that length of retention. Slowly swapping thumb and index finger over before letting that held breath out. And a moment of pause before you breathe in. Notice how you feel on that retention. If you feel a bit panicky, just go back to normal Nadi Shodhana without the breath retention. Just a couple more rounds to go. And completing your final round, just exhaling on the left nostril, releasing the hand down to the knee, and then breathing normally through both. No retention, no pause at the base. Just observing left and right channels, left and right nasal passages. Did one feel stronger or weaker than the other? Or were they both quite equal? Bring some movement back into the hands, clench the fist, stretch the hands, circle the shoulders, and lift the knees together. Give yourself a big hug here. Let's fold the belly and the chest over the thighs. Let the head release down to the knees and just release the spine there. Remember, this is spine, inner thighs, and hamstring practice. So now feel your spine breathing. Rolling up through the spine. And let's come into our first posture, our toe stretch. Yes, of course, I have to throw in the toe stretch there. So coming maybe to the middle or to the back of your mat, just tucking those toes underneath you. And see how far you can get those toes underneath before coming back. And if you're on a hard surface, just pad out those knees. Bringing the hands onto the thighs or down to the mat. Try to get the heels just nicely resting underneath the buttocks. And let's stay and hold and breathe. Have a smile on the face, relax the facial expression. Sit with challenge, but you do not have to sit with pain. And just imagine the feeling when you let go of the toe stretch, the wonderful feeling into the toes. And let us come out. Bring the hands forward. Come into your tabletop. Keep the toes tucked for a moment. Release through the spine into cow. And then release the feet as you roll up through the spine into cat. So soften through all of those toes, pressing the tops of the feet into the mat here, pulling navel to spine, pushing through the palms, rounding shoulders. And then release from that cat pose into neutral tabletop. Navel lifts up slightly towards the spine, and then gently pull yourself back towards the heels. Let's come into an ankle stretch. So the hands come back behind you. Get those heels underneath the buttocks, lifting up the knees as much as is comfortable here. Hands can stay behind you, of course, or you might bring them to the knees and scoop the belly. Bring the chin to the chest, adds a little bit more weight. Relax shoulders. Great. These toe and ankle work look much more improved since the beginning of the month. Again, sitting with challenge, but not discomfort or pain. And slowly lower the hands, lower the shins. Just come into an upright kneel there, softening the buttocks down in towards the heels, feeling the stretch on the top of the arches, sliding yourself forward just to come off the weight. And if you like, you can just lift one knee at a time and circle toes and ankle up behind you. Swapping legs, lifting that knee away from the mat and just rotating through the ankle. Good. So let's come into our winged dragons. This is where the bolster may come in handy, and of course your two blocks. So having the two blocks in front of you, don't have to use blocks, of course. Your hands might just simply come to the mat. Bringing the right foot forward and turning the toes out. Heel pushes forward. Bolster can go underneath your back thigh, giving you a little bit of extra support there with the prop. And we are holding these for a number of minutes, so don't go too deep too soon. Allow gravity to take you there. So you can, of course, go deeper with time. You might just come down onto the forearms, onto blocks, or onto the mat. You may just stay up on your palms. That's okay too. Keep drawing navel lightly back in towards the spine. Don't let that belly hang out too much. So give in. Yeah. Remember to sit with challenge and work towards your edge. Softening as much as you can through the muscles, releasing the tightness, tension through joints. If you went for the forearm option, take it slowly to bring yourself back upright, dropping hips just a little bit more, keeping length through the spine. And then gently pull the hips back, straighten out through that front leg, drawing the toes back towards the shin. It's just a counter pose, not a deep hold in this hamstring stretch. Remember, spine, inner thighs, and hamstrings we're targeting today for the kidney and bladder meridians. Soften through the back of that right leg, right knee. And gently bend the right knee And sweep that leg back. If you need to, just give it a little workout through the hip, maybe a few figure of eights. Nice. Let's go left. So bringing the foot forward, thinking about that ankle being in line with the knee, dropping the hips only as much as is comfortable. Remember, you don't go too deep too soon. We're here for a number of minutes. Starting off on the palms, maybe coming down to the forearms on blocks or down to the mat. Using that bolster underneath the thigh if you like. Pull navel gently back towards the spine. Yeah, that's it. Relax the facial expression. Relax through the shoulders. Trying not to let the right hip dip too much. So trying to keep the pelvis nice and stable. Left hip drops as much as the right. That's a bit of the challenge of a winged dragon as well. So remember those target meridians, starting in the feet, starting in the toes, working their way all the way up through the inner legs, up past the spine, up in towards the head, clearing any blockages of chi as you breathe. If you took the forearm option, take your time to come back up onto the palms, lifting the chest, looking forward, lengthening spine, dropping hips. Take time to pull the hips back, digging in the heel, pulling the toes up towards the shins and just releasing through the front left extended leg. Softening into the back of those muscles of that leg, back of the knee, hamstring, spine. Gently bend at the knee and then gently sweep that leg back behind you. Again, you can just figure of 8 out of the hip. Good. So let's come off of the knees here, swinging the legs around in front of us, coming into our caterpillar pose, which is our seated forward bend. So you can use obviously blocks if you like to place the head on. You can put a bolster underneath the knees. That's all right. That's really nice, a nice way to do it. I might actually do that. So I'm going to take that. Or you can just simply come into that seated fold. So lifting up, keeping the sides of the body nice and long, and then getting the belly free of the thighs and almost bringing the chest further forward so that you can try and get the chest and the belly down over the thighs. Feet might be together or apart, letting the head relax down. Soften through the neck here. We are here for a number of minutes, so again, don't go too deep too soon. Allow gravity to take you into the posture. Try and soften through the spine and the back of the legs. And if the kidney meridian is out of balance, might bring fear and insecurity into the emotional and mental state. And if the bladder meridian is out of balance, that's usually a sign of indecisiveness, not being so assured. Keeping the focus in the present, not letting the mind just wander onto distraction or other thoughts, other places, other things. Remain focused on sensations and feelings as you sit here and just breathe. Feel everything you're experiencing as you hold and find stillness in this posture. Take a deep breath in, deep breath out. Prepare the mind and body to move, but take your time to come out of the posture. Rolling back through the spine. Bringing the shoulders back up in line with the hips as you just gently bring yourself back upright. Circle shoulders and release the legs. Take the bolster away. Now let us come into a melting heart pose. Swinging round onto your knees, tabletop. And you can, of course, use a block or a blanket underneath the head here. If the head becomes a little bit uncomfortable on the forehead, you can gently turn to the side of the head, but make sure that you equal that out on each side. So we're here for about 3 or 4 minutes. We're here for just a few more breaths. Allow the upper and the middle back to soften even more. And really, the posture describes how it should feel, is this melting heart down towards the mat. Take a breath in, deep breath out. Just gently lift the head and slide yourself forward. Take care to come out of that one, dropping hips, bringing yourself all the way down into your counter pose of crocodile. Head to the back of the hands and the big toes touch here. Just soften and release out for a minute. Maybe the hips just gently rock from side to side. Take a breath in, lift the head, bring the hands underneath the shoulders and just press yourself back through tabletop. Take a few rounds of slow and steady cat and cow here, just to release after the back bend of caterpillar, but also, the forward fold, the forward flexion of caterpillar and the back bend of melting heart. The bladder meridian goes up the back and into the top of the head. So as you come into these cat and cows, you can really feel that you're freeing up any blockages of prana and chi. Release back into a wide leg child's pose. Just soften them, move the hips left and right. Roll up through the spine to kneeling. And let's come into an inner thigh stretch from here. So these are our half butterflies. So extending the right leg out to the side, bringing the left either on the inside thigh or into the calf. You can, of course, use a block to support that knee there. It doesn't have to go down towards the mat. You're going to lift up the arms, and again, we're going to take a fold up and over the extended leg. Give yourself the wiggle room that you need underneath the buttocks and soften down into the fold. Let the head relax down towards the knee, and you can relax all of the muscles in that extended leg. The foot doesn't need to be flexed or pointed here. Soften through the back of the knee and the hamstring. And allow the left shoulder to drop as much as the right. If you find head to knee a little bit of a challenge as a yin posture, you can always bring the forearms into the center of your leg. And the fold is not directly over your extended leg, but folding gently forward. Pull the navel lightly back towards the spine. Each exhale,
allows you to let go just a little bit more each time. Reminding yourself to give in to softness, gravity. Try not to resist or force, but give it in to yourself and your full range of motion in this posture. Coming out of the posture, bring the hands back towards the body. Unroll the spine, sit nice and tall. Just take a gentle twist here. So take the opposite hand to the knee and just give yourself a release through the spine in a soft opening. Bring yourself back into center, lift the knee, extend the leg. Before you come into the other side, we're just going to work a little bit into those inner thighs. So lifting up the arms, keeping a nice flat back, folding from the hips. So hinge forward, reach the hands out in front of you, stretch the feet away, see how much you can go forward, and then the hands come down. Keep the chest nice and open so you're almost parallel to the mat. Breathe deep into tight areas wherever they come. If they're coming into the inner thighs, soften a little bit through the spine, soften into the knees. Doing great. Reach the hands forward, slide a little bit more. Good. Target area, inner thighs. Breathe deep. And walk the hands back as you unroll. Sitting nice and tall, just lift the knees together, windscreen wiper out before we come to the other side for the half butterfly. Extending left leg out this time, bringing right foot in. Again, you can choose to use a block underneath that knee if you like. And again, choosing whether you're going to fold on the inside of the thigh or start to fold towards the leg. So lifting up the arms and stretch up and over. Relax the foot, relax the muscles in the extended leg. And make sure the right shoulder this time is pulling down as much as the left. Let the head and the neck soften and release towards the knee. Make sure both sit bones are grounded. Giving yourself the permission to let go. Remain present. Be here and nowhere else. Taking a deep breath in, deep breath out. Bring the hands back towards the body. Sit nice and tall. Lengthen through the spine after the fold. Take the opposite hand to the knee to just generate that rotation and release through the spine in a counter pose. And let's bring ourselves back into center. Lift that knee together and spin the legs around behind you. Go sideways onto your mat. This is our peak pose of frog, targeting the inner thighs. You can use your bolster here, of course, in front of you, or you might just simply bring the hands out in front of you. Knees are at a 90-degree angle, and they are at a 90-degree bend at the hips and at the ankles. Start to just gently rock forwards and backwards, finding your point of resistance. Where does it pull the most when you push the hips backwards towards the heels? And just slide those knees out to the sides as much as is comfortable. Try not to let the belly drop too much so that the back arches here, but pull the navel nice and lightly back towards the spine. And if you've got that bolster in front of you, give all of your weight into that prop. Yes, I can see you. And breathe into your target areas here of your peak pose. Coming out of the posture, just shift the body forward. Bring the big toes to touch and then lightly start to roll up through the spine, using the hands to push yourself back. You're going to come up into that tadpole posture, knees are nice and wide, big toes are together. Just sit nice and tall. Let the buttocks drop down and towards the heels. Yes, those inner thighs are probably screaming at you. Bring the hands forward, lift the knees together, and let's come down onto our backs. So draw the knees in, make sure that you are nice and warm here. We are coming to the last few postures. So now as you come down onto your back, feel the spine spread out. Feel the spine become long and heavy as you pull the tailbone downwards and spread the shoulder blades, making sure that you feel the upper, the middle, and the lower back and the pelvis all connecting in towards the mat. And do what you need to here. If that means, circling the knees outwards, giving yourself a little massage, Do that, and also opening up the knees, releasing into the hip joints after those postures, particularly half butterfly and frog. Make sure you circle the other way. So let's go into a gentle reclined twist from here. And again, you can use the bolster and the blocks by the side of you. Arms come out to the side of you at shoulder height, palms are face up, and just gently drop both knees over to the side. You can take hold of the top thigh with your right hand, and maybe you like to turn the head towards the left palm here. Exhaling all tension. Try to give it in to the posture. Try not to resist. And gently release the hand from the top of that thigh and roll the knees back into the center. Make sure that you come back into alignment of the spine. Bring the hands down by the side of you. Take the knees together and the feet wide. Constructive rest. Release is there. Heel toe the feet into parallel. Arms out to the side once more, palms face up. Drop the knees over to the left. Take hold of your top thigh with your left hand, and then choose where you want to gaze, either up to the top of, up above you, or to your right palm. So really that left hand is simply pulling down your top thigh with a little bit of weight. Notice where your target areas are here. Again, this is probably working into the spine a little bit more. Try to relax through the buttocks. Try not to clench or grip. Breathe in, bring the head back, release that top hand, bring the knees back into center, realign spine and hips, take the feet wide, and the hands can come to the body or down by the side of you. Heel toe the feet into parallel, draw the knees in towards the chest. Let's come into happy baby from here. So take the knees nice and wide. Lift the feet up towards the sky. You can catch hold of the outer edges of the feet, the calf or the back of the thighs. Start to pull the thighs wide of the waist. Pull the knees down. Feet are lightly flexed and pressing up towards the sky. And you're gently pulling down the knees, pulling down the thighs, lengthening tailbone along the mat. Try to keep the spine as connected and as flat on the mat as you can. Relax into the facial expression. Be happy here. This is your happy baby. Remind yourself of those meridian lines in traditional Chinese medicine, the kidney and the bladder running from the toes all the way on the inside, legs, bladder goes up the back, kidney goes up the front, into the face and the head. Freeing the chi, freeing the prana, releasing any blockages, allows us to let go of fear, insecurities, and indecisiveness, and to bring in self-assurance, boost self-esteem, and to improve confidence. And slowly release the hands, release the heels to the buttocks. Bring the knees together, give them a big squeeze here. Press the palms on the outer knees. Well done. Held that one for about 4 or 5 minutes. And just take your constructive rest. Feet go wide, toes turn in, and the knees just rest together. Make sure the entire spine is connected, shoulder blades, upper, middle, lower back, hips and pelvis. Your choice here to use a bolster underneath the spine. This is our snail or plow pose or halasana. So making sure you've got enough room behind you. You might need to shuffle forward just a little bit, but just give yourself the impetus to lift the knees up, support the spine, and you can simply drop the knees in towards the forehead or widen the knees and drop them by the ears. And if you like, you can extend the legs behind you. So supporting the spine or releasing the hands down, your choice here. Try to keep the neck as long as you can here, looking straight ahead. Don't turn towards the left or the right here with the neck in this very vulnerable posture. Make sure you're up on the shoulders or you're supported by the prop of your bolster. And notice the breath. And that's it for that one. Let's slowly, with control, roll down. Try to keep the legs as close to the face and the body as you can. When the back comes down, just lift the legs straight up to the sky. That's it, your half dead bug or waterfall pose. And then bend at the knees, bring the feet down. And let's come into Shavasana from here. So if you like, drawing the knees in, rolling, massaging out for the last time, making sure you're nice and warm and comfortable, maybe using a bolster underneath the knees, blankets, eye pillows, relaxing back into Shavasana. So as you come into your relaxation here, really try to remain present. Let go of distractions, let go of thoughts that may be pulling you away from your physical presence on the mat here for the remaining minutes of the practice. This is always the challenge. Our mind wants to go elsewhere. So focusing on how you feel, focusing on the body, just lying there, focusing on relaxing and breathing really helps you stay present. And throughout this practice, we aimed to boost our confidence, our self-esteem, our self-assurance by having the intention of the power to change and ready to take the next step. Begin to deepen your breath as you bring your awareness back. Coming back into your space, onto the mat and into the body. Wiggling fingers, wiggling toes. Moving the wrists, moving the ankles. There is never any rush to come out of Shavasana, so really do take your time as long as you need. You can stretch, arms above the head, reach the toes away. Gently drawing the knees in towards the chest, rolling out for the last time today. Releasing belly back to spine, spine into mat. Give yourself that massage. Circle the knees and roll over to the right side. Take a moment there to pause. And then gently push yourself back up to seated. Let's return to butterfly pose. Soles of the feet to come together. Remember this diamond shape. Sit nice and tall, bring the hands in towards the heart, roll the shoulders away from the ears, feel the length of the body all the way up to the ears. And for one last few breaths, remind yourself of those two meridian lines, the kidney and the bladder, starting at the toes, going through the inside of the legs, bladder goes up the back, kidney goes up the front, and they both go into the head. And notice now how you feel. Notice your own confidence, self-esteem, self-assurance, and also remind yourself of our intention for practice. I have the power to change and I am ready to take the next step, whatever that is for you, whatever the step is. Always thank yourself for your practice, your mind, your body, and your breath. And I thank you. Namaste.